Labour councillor and top aide to Health Secretary Wes Streeting has pleaded guilty to 2 counts of indecent exposure, yet he can't be sacked. He's said to have flashed his genitals at a 13-year-old girl, then chased her down the street. The girl banged on doors, begging for help. The girl's mum says her ordeal at the hands of Labour councillor Sam Gould, aged 33, has left the 13-year-old too scared to leave the house. The girl was walking to meet friends on Saturday when she saw a man sitting in his car, performing a sex act with his trousers down. She ran away, but he got out and followed her onto a residential street. After seeing the teen banging onto front doors for help, another motorist came to her rescue. Gould, who is said to have gone on school visits with Mr. Streeting, was tracked down by police and arrested. The girl's mother says the fact that Gould has been released on bail has given her a lot more anxiety, as she's scared she might bump into him. Gould has resigned from Mr. Streeting's Ilford constituency office but remains a councillor. Mr. Gould's college had removed its mention of him as a former student. The Post had previously read that Gould got into politics to, quote, make a positive difference. The college said he had previously been a governor of its previous iteration, and mentioned he had been selected as a parliamentary candidate for the Labour Party in 2015, becoming one of the youngest candidates in the country. This is just the latest brush a Labour politician has had with the law. MP Mike Amesbury was recently jailed for assaulting a constituent, but his sentence was overturned on appeal. Nigel Farage called it an example of two-tier justice.
Crime completely out of control. Here in Hull, crime 25% higher than the national average. People scared to go out after dark. The police force, who seem to be more concerned about what we say on social media.
Goes with Pete.
More concerned than maybe the Labour MP for Runcorn, who at 2 o'clock in the morning doesn't just strike someone in the street, but hits him 5 times on the ground. And what happens today at appeal? We're told the prison sentence is to be suspended. I guess that's because he's part of the Labour Party and part of the ruling class, and we saw it after the riots last summer. Different groups of people being treated differently. That is not what this country is all about. I will not live with two-tier policing and two-tier justice. Everybody must be treated the same.
Farage wasn't the only one.
I'm astonished about the judge. He said it was finely balanced. Well, the earlier court hadn't said it was finely balanced. They made it quite clear that this was a shock, beating up one of your constituents at 2 o'clock in the morning when clearly you're as drunk as the Lord, and you are the member for Parliament. You are on parade 24 hours a day. You know that. It's part of your DNA. It's one of the reasons why you got elected, because you were a decent person. You weren't going around beating up anybody, and you weren't going out and getting drunk all the time. I think it's a shocking decision and doesn't do our legal system any good. It absolutely is an indication that if you are up there, you'll be okay. And if you're down there, right, you're going to go off to jail. I have no idea why the judge thought this was a good idea. There's a tremendous pressure within the court system not to jail people, but this is surely a different example. We wanted to give an example to everybody. By the way, I wouldn't mind giving an example to the 649 other MPs, just in case they fancy going out on the lash and beating up a constituents. So this is poor. This is where I'd love to see a press conference with the judge.
Do you?
I want people to explain these kinds of decisions. There's too many of them.
Gary?
It's not going to go to VAR, is it? Basically, it's not going to go. But we all saw it play out. I mean, it comes back to social media. I mean, we all saw it play out on social media. Yeah. I mean, to be fair, even after he was very, very tanked up, clearly, but he looked like he'd go a few rounds with Tyson Fury. Yeah. So no, I'm not sure we're going to agree with you on everything, Kelvin, but I totally agree with you on this.
But
it's wrong.
What about the message do you think it sends to people? Because he is essentially, he's a public servant, paid for by us. One of the the people that would have been essentially literally paying his wages, his constituent. He elected this, or this area elected this person literally to serve them, not to batter them. So what kind of messaging do you think this sends?
Well, it sends the wrong message altogether. And, you know, we're going to talk about young people shortly, and about young people caught with knives, etc. And they're seeing this. You know, this we talk about two-tier policing, whatever. But this is just wrong. And what I think what Kelvin said there is really spot on. We need to be holding the judiciary to account on things like this, because that's just a crazy decision that shouldn't have been made.
Mr Ainsbury told the BBC he would resign at the earliest opportunity.
I'm going to step aside at the earliest opportunity. I've got processes I must go through. Staff, for example, there's a statutory process in terms of redundancies, so it's not only me out of a job, so to speak, although it was more than a job. It was a calling for me. I've loved most of my time being a Member of Parliament, but it also affects, I've got 6 members of staff, so I've got a period of notice I've got to give them, so it's going to be as quickly as possible, really.
His resignation would mean a by-election. Locals told Ben Leo who they'd likely opt for.
I'd vote for reform. It's the way he speaks, it's the way he puts it over.
Nigel Farage?
Yeah.
Labour, Reform?
Not Labour after what that Mike's done.
Not Labour?
No.
Were you not impressed with Mike Amesbury?
Not at all.
So who would you vote for if there was another by-election?
The Farage people.
From Reform UK?
Of course.
What do you like about them?
Different from Labour and Conservative.
I only ever have and ever will vote for Labour.
Yeah.
No matter who they are, whether they good or bad, indifference. Labour.
You always vote for Labour?
Always.
Who are you voting for if there's a by-election here in a few weeks?
Reform it'll be, yeah.
Reform?
100%, yeah.
How come? Aren't they?
They're quite lukewarm though, to be honest with you. I want something that...
You want stronger?
Stronger, slightly, not too much, you know what I mean?
Would you vote in a by-election if there was one in a few weeks?
Yeah.
Who for?
Mike.
Mike?
Yeah.
What if he's not standing? Labour again?
Well, yeah.
Even though he smacked someone?
He was defending his family.
Okay.
Reform.
You'd vote Reform? How come?
I'd vote Reform because fed up with all the others.
The sun is shining on us.
Good today good, yeah.
Thank the Lord.
Yeah.
Who would you vote for in an election here?
How for here?
Yes.
4 years.
Yes. So you lived here 4 years?
Yeah.
And who would you vote for here? Labour? Conservative?
Labour, yeah.
You'd vote Labour?
Yeah.
I mean, I had a choice, I wouldn't vote for anyone.
How come?
They all aren't they?
Oh. Would you vote for Labour again here?
I don't vote for Labour.
No? Who did you vote for last time? Do you mind me asking?
I haven't voted for years.
There's only one party.
Yes.
Nigel Farage.
Ooh, Reform UK.
Yeah.
Some people down this high street have said Reform are a bit bigoted or racist.
No.
What do you say to those people?
He's the only one who wants to do anything for British people in their own country.
Why the Lib Dems? What is it about the Lib Dems that you like?
Well, I just feel that I particularly like the leader of the Lib Dems.
So Ed Davey?
Yes, I do. I think what he says is very interesting and very honest.
Can I be a bit cheeky? Mm-hmm. Ed Davey thinks women can have, you know what? What do you think about that?
You know what?
Penises. Ed Davey thinks women can have penises.
That's entirely up to him, isn't it?
Doesn't put you off him?
No, not at all.
Nobody at the moment.
Don't like any of them?
No.
Oh, no.
Paul Richards told GB News Labour would receive a drubbing.
By-election we didn't want, obviously. I think it is there for Farage to lose. I think it's one of those sort of potential big explosive by-election excitements that you get in mid-term with an unpopular government. I would have said definitely a slam dunk for Reform up until this week, actually, but a lot of the defence stuff this week and the sort of patriotic stuff coming out of Starmer might help some of those voters stay in the Labour column. But I think right now, I reckon I'm going to call it for Farage.
But Paul, it's not mid-term, is it? We're only about 8 months in.
Well, good point, yeah, good point.
Just to clarify, you think Reform will win Runcorn if there's a by-election?
I think that's a very strong likelihood that they will pull off one of those amazing by-elections, because they won't keep it in the general election, but I think it's a possible, mid-term sort of phenomenon where the government gets a kicking.
As I understand it, the Reform were campaigning, I think the day after Mike Amesbury was arrested for battering a constituent. They were knocking doors.
Absolutely.
Because it's wide open for them. Yeah, of course.
Where would that leave Keir Starmer then and the government? How would they react? How would they be feeling, do you think, if they lost that?
Well,
Just a
would,
guess.
you tell us, Paul, because I think it would be a disastrous sign for Labour.
Well, the events have moved on since the general election in terms of why there's a by-election. Yeah, but I mean, it's also the first time where the MP has battered somebody in the street, isn't it? So, it is an unusual set of circumstances.
And on that note, his sentence shouldn't have been suspended and he should have got longer. What kind of deterrent does that?
Wes Streeting said in a statement. There are no words to express my horror that a mother and her daughter have been put through this ordeal and will have to deal with the trauma of it for some time to come. As soon as I was made aware of his arrest, he was suspended, and as soon as the guilty plea was entered, I took immediate steps to sack him through official HR processes. There are no excuses for his appalling behaviour. I am calling for him again to resign as a Redbridge councillor immediately. The Met Police charged Gould with 2 counts of indecent exposure on Sunday after linking him to a second flashing incident involving a 25-year-old woman in Hornchurch last month. He pleaded guilty to both counts at Barkingside Magistrates Court the next day and was released on bail until sentencing next month.